When I dance, I am totally in the now. There is no past and no future, just the present moment.
Dancing gives me the ability to know every single part of my body. This is really important because my body is the only thing I will keep till the end.
When I think about dance, I think about the essence of life.
We are always moving. Our atoms are always moving. The whole universe is always moving. Without movement, there is no life.
Dance is groove. That is certainly the most important thing for me. It comes from inside, but from a very relaxed place inside.
It is a way filled with possibilities. It is a precious secret that you want to share. It is silence that wants to talk. It is imagination that brings you everywhere.
Dance is not only some random movements in space. It is becoming an element that I count among the languages I speak.
Dance is not something that we do on the outside. It is something that we are from the inside.
I on dance a relationship. I love it, it loved me. I hate it, it hit me.
Keeping the desire of communication, growing outside, inside, body space.
Space, time, movement, and of course, the passion that drives us.
Sweat, tears, and painful evenings are nothing compared to the joy of dance. After all, you made me travel the world, taught me how to be myself, taught me how to accept myself.
Dancing is the most sincere and honest way of expression. It communicates through emotions and affect, and can therefore reach beyond language. The body never lies.
Welcome back to Global Village. I'm your host, Buddy Kunanan. Tonight's topic is UNESCO Global Festivals. And joining us still is the best person to talk about UNESCO Global Festivals here in the Philippines, and none other than Cecile Godoy Alvarez, and she's the president of the International Theatre Institute. Ms. Alvarez?
That's the Philippine Center and our Social Change Network.
Yes.
Because Director General of the International Theatre Institute is Tobias Bianconi, who's a Swiss playwright. And the president is from UAE, Mohammed Al-Akham. So as the Philippine Center, I head it, and the International Social Change Network.
Okay. But you know, admire very much what you guys do in ITI.
Yeah.
As you mentioned earlier, really arts is a means for social change.
You're right.
You know, it's a very overlooked medium, let's put it that way. You know, people, you know, don't really, it's not really apparent to many people the power really that arts can do. When
you know
for conflict resolution,
there is
solving
such
problems.
a wrong concept of arts. They think it's only for entertainment.
Like a hobby.
Yeah,
like a hobby.
Extracurricular. And yet,
Yeah.
you know, I was in the meeting in the United Nations General Assembly where the head, the president then of the General Assembly, worked out a special meeting on culture and development. And here it was stressed. Kasi palaging akala nila after the fact, sige, merong event, ASEAN, APEC, etc. Yung mga magaganda lang or mga etc. entertainment stars. And yet, this is the moment where you demonstrate the integrity of the arts, inclusivity, and what is your message?
Definitely.
How you deliver it, di ba?
Definitely.
And nakakalungkot na extracurricular ang nangyayari. And in this UN meeting, which is about 3 years ago, it has already been accepted that culture is an essential ingredient for sustainable development.
Yes.
Development is retarded or accelerated depending on how you utilize it effectively, or if it is absent or marginalized in your programming. So bureaucrats should be sensitive to culture.
But Ms. Alvarez, looking at our own governmental setup here in the Philippines, we don't even have a Department of Culture. We should have a Department of Culture.
Well, we have the National Commission for Culture.
But it's a commission. I mean,
It's
it
a
should be,
commission.
personally, I think it should be elevated, like in other countries, to the ministry or department
Yeah.
level.
Well, it used to be part of Ed when it was Department of Education
And Culture and Sports, yes.
And then they broke it out into commissions. And
I mean, sports can be a commission, but
Yeah.
it's culture. Culture is so
yeah, that's the
encompassing. It's
spirit.
got to have
You
a
know,
major
other
branch.
countries, it's culture and heritage.
Ministry.
Culture,
Ministry of Culture,
Ministry of
yes.
Culture, Youth.
Cultural preservation.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So here, though, we see now this effort of really stressing this. Because I was in NCCA, and really we pushed for decentralization, we pushed for inclusivity, we pushed for really interagency action, because culture cannot be apart. It's the binder
Definitely.
for
definitely.
all.
And
that's what's got to be understood by governance.
I just wish there was a cultural champion. We have a president someday who's a cultural champion, because I think that's what this nation needs most of all, a sense of nationhood. And how do you do that? By promoting culture. That's the only way to do it.
Well, I'm telling you, I wish they would understand that using culture, arts, media, our heritage, the whole caboodle of values and traditions is a mirror for us to really portray or know ourselves, our identity, to forge that nation. It's not just a mirror, it is also an anchor, so that you're not floating, but you're rooted in appreciating the wealth of your traditions and heritage.
That's why, Mrs. Alvarez, a lot of people say that the Philippines is a country, but it's not a nation.
Yeah,
so
but if
it
we
starts there.
push this,
it starts there.
I'm glad that the cabinet secretary, Secretary Evasco, has, because I've known him as a mayor in Bohol, he was culture sensitive.
Very good.
I worked on his lighthouse preservation. And of course, Bohol is so rich, in just the churches, its natural resources, etc.
Yes.
Anyway, he I think will enter culture into mainstream culture into the other departments, because the failure of governance, and I'll say it again, is in the failure of cultural communications.
I think so.
People don't understand their responsibility. They are not conscientized, because culture is a conscientizing force. Culture is an armor against our social ills. I'm telling you, this drug problem, culture should be used to rehabilitate the victims of drug addiction.
We'll talk about rehabilitation and education. It's International Arts Education Week this month.
Yes.
And so that is something which is
this is
right
really
on the
an
ball.
honor for the country, because we pushed for this in the meeting in Korea. And we're glad it's now a UNESCO really practiced week. And for this International Arts Education Week, there's a convergence of civil society, government, and the international community in a tripartite meeting, because actually after President Duterte approved our accession to the Paris Accord and it was ratified by the Senate, it's important that we are unified in determining a roadmap of how we can help fulfill our commitment.
Yes.
Because it's not just a commitment, it means the saving of the earth, we're all going to perish, diba? And cultural communications is so important. Popularizing science to be understood by the driver, by the fisher folk, by the housemaid, by
you have to
everybody.
Bring it to the reality.
Yeah.
Right? Make them realize on that level.
Right. So there is this tripartite meeting, where we hope to develop this. What's wonderful, it's convened by by civil society, 2 former senators, Senator Joey Lina, Senator Gerson Alvarez, and the Clean Air Coalition, which is headed by a doctor, because our health is really connected with this. And social bloggers also are involved in this. So we have legislative committees, the Climate Change Committee of Senator Legarda, the Education Committee of Senator Escudero, the Public Works of Senator Grace Poe, and the Environment Committee of Senator Cynthia Villar, and several others are all converging and with alliances with UNEP, UNDP, and of course the patronage
to get with the program, to try to get everyone with the program.
So everybody is there. It's
Very
comprehensive,
good.
it's detailed, it shows what each one can do, all sectors, whether you're from the interfaith, you're from academe, whether you're from the, even persons with disabilities, vulnerable groups. DFA has given its imprimatur to a special program integrated into it, Education and Culture, with Senator Chis Escudero, and they will have to connect with NCCA for this, because it's important that this lifelong learning, it reaches out to the vulnerable groups. It cannot just be
Definitely.
to the elite or those who can understand. They have to be embraced and be part of it. And programs must be according to what they need, what they aspire for, and what is the reality of their condition. Not just imagined or drawn from a paper or something, but here you will have this actual interaction, helping together, working out whatever good lessons are there, and that's what we derive, and all the bad things throw away.
Yes.
And you know, it is really an energizing force for creative industries. That's what culture is.
Well,
also,
it's a good thing we're talking about International Arts Education Week, because you know, arts is mean for social change, and you know, I'd like to tell the viewers now that you and I collaborate often in the United Nations Climate Change Conferences.
You've been with us for
in
the
Paris,
COP in Paris,
in Marrakesh,
and
I'll be
now in Bonn.
In November.
It's wonderful, and of course you're supposed to join, because all broadcasters are being asked to help out. In Bonn, we can give this an example.
And no one is doing it.
Yeah.
No one except the Filipino
group.
group.
It's going to be an example, really. It's going to be an example for ASEAN that you can really bond together and get rid of all kinds of petty rivalries, but really be forged together to save humanity and to really save ourselves, our children, the generations to come.
What is the theme of this year's United Nations Climate Change Conference?
Well, it's the same thing. It's pursuing, of course, what you're going to do with your determined contributions. How are you pursuing it? Because by 2020, everybody should be set in their ways. And we precisely looking towards 2020, we better do this. And it's important because the foundation will be during the, let's say, administration of President Duterte, because he has this year up to 2022.
Yes.
So he will establish the foundation to reach the goal to 2030. And we're having alliances with you know Akim Steiner, who used to be the UNEP director, where he's now the head of UNDP. So we're hoping that there will be a close collaboration for helping us access the Green Climate Fund, technology transfer, capacity building. And this is what we can forge, synergize, fuse together. And when we go to Bonn,
yes, we will be in Germany in November, definitely.
Yeah.
And as I keep telling people, we're the only group that does this arts arts
that
for
has a strong cultural component.
Yes, this arts education at,
Yeah.
at the United Nations Climate Change
Change
Conference.
Conference,
No
yeah.
one else does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we did the Sustainable Development Goals done by handicapable artists.
And I brought a painting from a Georgian artist
Exactly.
on refugees.
And then you also had one on refugees.
Yes.
But now it's very important. The UNESCO is very concerned about the ocean. We are more acquainted about the forest as a carbon sink, but the ocean is very important as well, and especially where there is a lot of tension in some oceans. Remember?
Yes.
There's now
yes.
piracy somewhere in the African seas, and we have now this conflicted area in the China Sea where we have to mold together a cultural diplomatic initiative.
Ms. Alvarez, we have about a minute to close. Would you like to say something to the audience for this special month, May, where we're celebrating all these UNESCO global festivals?
Well, this is really for all of us to connect to ourselves, what we are, what we hope for, our desire really to have a peaceful, healthy, sustainable world for our children, our grandchildren. So if we all participate, and we have Secretariat for this World Arts Education Week, which is the tripartite meeting. It's 524-6662 or 0915-898-3947. We welcome everybody from exhibition to all of the panel exchanges and the studies which are being coordinated by a technical working group, and it is to banner the Philippines really championing the need to save Mother Earth. It's going to be Mother's Day. It's not just for mothers like us, but it's
For Mother
Earth.
For Mother Earth. Very well.
Para
Very good.
sa
Very well
ating
said.
inang bayan din. This is really what we're all doing is for our Mother Earth and our motherland.
Well, Ms. Alvarez, May is turning out to be my favorite month, huh?
Yeah.
Look at all these things you're celebrating. Bravo, bravo.
And fiestas all over
Yes.
in the provinces and cities.
Yes.
I mean, tourism is alive.
Ms. Alvarez, thank you for coming to the show.
Yeah.
And I'll see you next week in Isabela for
Yes,
Isabela Day
yes,
and the
Isabela
reprise
Day
of
and
International
World
Dance
Dance
Festival.
Exchange
Yes.
with the support of NCCA.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Alvarez.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Adi.
you. So guys, I hope you enjoyed our show tonight on UNESCO Global Festivals. Join us again next week here in Global Village and let us take you around the world. Till then, you all have a good evening.